Hi, good afternoon. This is part 2 of our notes from Chapter 7, VLE of Pure Fluids. So in this set of notes, we'll discuss our criteria of phase coexistence. So I'm going to start with the picture that we saw in our first set of notes, that of our heterogeneous closed system. Okay. So the first keyword is heterogeneous, and what I mean by heterogeneous is that if I were to take samples at random throughout my system, they are not going to be, the properties of that sample are not going to be exactly the same. Okay, it's closed though, and that I have the solid black boundary, and that mass or moles can't cross my phase boundary. Okay, so mass and moles can't cross my phase boundary, so it's closed, but it's heterogeneous in that if I take samples at random throughout my system, the properties are not going to be uniform. Okay, so it can exchange heat and work with the surroundings. So heat, Q, work in the form of PV boundary work. Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about pure component vapor liquid equilibrium. Okay, so if we have a closed system, so if our system is closed, then we said that mass and moles can't cross my phase boundary. Okay, so in mathematically that would tell us that the differential of number of moles is equal to 0. Right? So the total number of moles, the total mass is held constant. So if I look at my fundamental equation, I can write it in terms of extensive properties. So dNg, here's Ns, and here's Nv. Right? So S, G, and V all being intensive properties. N times my intensive property gives me its extensive analog. Okay. Since the number of moles is constant, all right, I could bring the N out of my differential here. Here's N, here's N. I could cancel and kill all my N terms, at which point I get my differential involving intensive properties. So again, from part 1, we said that if I have two phases at coexistence, we have mechanical and thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium tells me that the temperature of those two phases are equal to each other. Okay, so temperature is constant throughout my system. It tells me that if my two phases are at coexistence, I have mechanical equilibrium. Okay, the pressure is the same in the two phases. Okay, so since the temperature and pressure in my two phases are the same, that tells me that temperature and pressure in my system is constant. Okay, so if temperature and pressure are constant, I could take my differential, and that means that dt and dp are both equal to 0. So that tells us then that dg of my system is equal to 0, the differential of the molar Gibbs free energy, as is the differential of the extensive total Gibbs free energy. Okay, cool. So now in terms of deriving our criteria of phase coexistence, right, we're going to go through a thought experiment. Okay, so this picture down here is of my heterogeneous closed system. Okay, so we could also picture our heterogeneous closed system as a composite system made up of two homogeneous open systems. Okay. And what I mean by that is if I were just to look at phase 1, if I were to take samples randomly throughout phase 1, the properties are going to be uniform. Right? So phase 1 is homogeneous. If I look at phase 2 and I were to take samples throughout phase 2, right, the properties are going to be exactly the same of those samples. Right? Phase 2 is homogeneous. It's open. Right? I have this dotted line here, and that moles can leave phase 2 and go to phase 1, moles can leave phase 1 and they can go to phase 2. Okay. What makes this composite system unique is that in terms of the total system is closed. Okay, so if I look at the total system, the total number of moles or total mass is constant. Okay, so what that means then is if moles were to leave phase 1, the only place they can go is to phase 2. And if moles were to leave phase 2, the only place they can go is to phase 1. Okay. So the thought experiment is I'm going to take a differential number of moles, del n, from phase 1. Okay. And so if a differential number of moles, del n, are removed from phase 1, the change in the extensive Gibbs free energy of phase 1 is negative g, molar Gibbs free energy of phase 1, times the differential number of moles that are leaving phase 1. So if moles are leaving phase 1, the only place they can go is to phase 2. Okay, so the gain in extensive Gibbs free energy in phase 2 would be G2, molar Gibbs free energy of phase 2, del n. Right? It's G1 and G2 because within phase 1 and within phase 2 the properties are homogeneous, right? It's homogeneous, the properties are uniform. Okay, so the molar Gibbs free energy everywhere in phase 1 is the same. Molar Gibbs free energy if everywhere in phase 2 are the same. So if moles were to leave phase 1, change in total extensive Gibbs free energy is negative G1 del N, since G is uniform throughout phase 1. Molar Gibbs free energy, or extensive Gibbs free energy gained by phase 2 is G2 del N, G2 because the molar Gibbs free energy and the properties are uniform throughout phase 2. Okay. Well, we saw on the last slide, if I were to take a quick flip back, that in analyzing my total system, okay, total number of moles is constant, and we said the temperature and pressure throughout my system is uniform. All right, and so we arrived with the relationship that dG, or dG total, is equal to 0. So if the differential of G is equal to 0, what that means is that the Gibbs free energy has to be constant throughout my system. Okay, so the Gibbs free energy has to be constant or uniform throughout my system. Okay, so if I go back here and I look at this thought experiment of transferring some differential number of moles between phases in my system, in order for the molar Gibbs free energy to be constant throughout the system, it must be that the molar Gibbs free energy in phase 1 is equivalent to the molar Gibbs free energy in phase 2. Okay, so the molar Gibbs free energy in phase 1 has to be equal to the molar Gibbs free energy in phase 2. Okay, and so with that, all right, we arrive at our criteria of chemical equilibrium that for a pure component system, the molar Gibbs free energy of the two phases have to be equal to each other. Okay, G1 is equal to G2. Okay, so the note is this is my intensive molar Gibbs free energy. The same is not true of my extensive Gibbs free energy. Right, extensive Gibbs free energy being N1 G1 is equal to N2 G2. All right, so molar values are the same. The number of moles in the two phases are not or do not need to be the same. Okay, so this is only true for my molar Gibbs free energy. And something we'll play around with a little later is since the temperature of my two phases are equal to each other, I could equivalently write this in terms of my dimensionless molar Gibbs free energy, so G over RT. Okay, and so that wraps up this set of slides where the main outcome is our criteria of phase coexistence for pure component system is equality of the molar Gibbs free energy of the two phases. Okay,